Sense Radio.
Yes, indeed, people. So, everything you need to know about Nancy Pelosi is basically installed in one comment that she has made about the bonuses that companies are giving to their employees
52 and a do
and beyond, and also tax savings that maybe you're going to experience as a result of tax reform. And she calls $1,000 here, $2,000 there. She calls it crumbs. So when you're a bazillionaire liberal Cruella de Vil the way she is, of course $1,000 is a pittance to someone like you.
52 and a do.
That's all you need to know about Nancy. Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Austin Petersen in the house. AP for Liberty on Twitter, at AP for Liberty. Austin Petersen, how you doing, man?
Hey, Jamie, I'm feeling great. Thanks for having me.
I'm sure you're really regretting the not getting that Steve Bannon endorsement.
Jamie, you gave me some advice early in the campaign. I take it with me. Be my own man. Don't stick my finger to the wind. Just, stand up for what you believe in and fight for it. And so far, that's been the right approach, man.
Right.
So thank you.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. You were out of the blocks. I've always admired you and love your passion, and it's a great emblem of your abilities and obviously your future performance as a U.S. Senator, because of you just check your Twitter feed or check how you've been on top of every issue. You've been out of the blocks. You were the first one to announce, and you have a bunch of people who are now working really hard for you, a bunch of young people, old people, you name it. And so I love to see the passion, because you can't teach that. Anybody can pick up a piece of paper and review, point by point the talking points, but you can't teach enthusiasm and passion.
Yeah, because I care very deeply about my state, and I care about my country, and I care about the principles of liberty than the Constitution. That's why I'm doing this. And it invigorates people. Everywhere I go around the state, I talk to them about the campaign, whether I'm in Warsaw, Missouri, or Tightwad, or down in southeast Missouri. And the students on campuses get so fired up when they hear me talking about why the First Amendment exists, why we have a Second Amendment, when they hear me commenting on the news of the day, because take a look at my primary opponent. He's got 0 platform issues on his website. He's going to try and sail through this without saying a darn thing about any controversial issues. But I'm not afraid to take a stand. And the thing is you're not always going to agree with me, but you're always going to know where I stand. And I mean, do you want that kind of courage? Do you want to send a lion into the Senate, or do you want to send a ladder boy?
Yeah, and absolutely. Now, so when it comes to, let's take an issue like immigration, and there are a lot of people all over the fences about this.
Right.
Where are you on it?
I tend to stand with Ronald Reagan, because he believed that the United States was the greatest country in the world, and if people were going to immigrate here, we should have a simple path to naturalization. And I've always advocated for an Ellis Island style system where you have a simple, strict disease check, strict security check. You pass the citizenship test, you can begin the path to naturalization. Unfortunately, I think the debate is dominated by the two extremes, where people say you're an open borders anarchist or you're a closed borders communist, where you want to shoot people who cross the border. And I think the reasonable middle with that is that you have an immigration policy that actually benefits Americans, and that has to have a keen understanding of economics. Economics is about incentives. If you give them the wrong incentives, people are going to come break the law. They're going to come here and they're going to take advantage of our system. If you give them the right incentives, the only people who are going to move here are the people who are going to contribute to the economy and do the right thing. So we've got to remove the bad incentives and put in good incentives for people to obey the law.
That's not xenophobic.
No.
I mean, it's just simply standing up for the country.
Right.
And we're more than happy to have people who want to come here and be productive citizens and enjoy the fruits of this great country and what our founding fathers built. But you have to do it the right way.
Right.
And obviously what's happened is Republicans and Democrats have failed us as it relates to immigration policy simply by not enforcing the laws that we have.
Right.
I mean, simply by not enforcing the laws we have that forbid employers from hiring illegals or on down the line. We just simply haven't. We have the laws out there. Same with gun laws. We don't need more gun laws. We need to enforce the laws we already have.
Yeah, I like the jokes where they say that Republicans and Democrats don't do anything about immigration because Republicans want the labor, Democrats want the votes, right? But of course, it's always vote gaming. I think Hispanics actually historically have been conservative, right? They're socially conservative. Many of them are Catholic. I think that the Republican Party could be a good place for Hispanics. I think the Bushes were really good with outreach towards that. I think we've pushed towards a policy that I think is overly restrictionist. I won't deny that. But I think that, again, if you get rid of the welfare state, Milton Friedman said you can't have open borders in a welfare state. That means the welfare state is the problem. Stop incentivizing people to commit to break the law. If it takes 25 years to become an American citizen, you're going to have people breaking the law. So let's look at a strict security check, a strict disease check, and then you begin the path to naturalization. And that's my policy, and it's controversial, but hey, that's what I believe.
How did you like how tax reform went down?
Oh, man. I mean, obviously nothing's perfect, but Jamie, I got to tell you, man, President Trump is really growing on me. I love it. I'm so excited. I think Claire McCaskill is a big coward for not talking about all these people here in Missouri who have been getting these bonus checks. Reminds me a lot of Nancy Pelosi. I think that this is going to probably be, I think this is even greater than what Reagan did. His tax cuts, even deeper, even larger. I mean, China is now complaining, the European Union is complaining about our tax bill because it's too competitive.
Right, exactly.
Right? This is exciting. And people's wages are getting voluntarily raised to $15 an hour. I mean, Bernie couldn't beat that with every socialist policy he could have. I mean, Elizabeth Warren said people will die, right? And,
yeah.
And I think more people are actually going to live, and more people are going to have a better life and a stable household, and that's what we want to see in the United States. Tax cuts. But next, Jamie, we need spending cuts. That's got to happen.
It's got to happen. I mean, ultimately, otherwise you're going to have a problem regarding it's going to suffocate you. But now it's cool that, as you pointed out, I think you're probably talking about Walmart, where they come and they just increase the wages. They increase their benefits. They increase their maternity leave, all kinds of different benefits. And they're doing things no government possibly could have been able to achieve in terms of telling them what to do. You have something that comes from the ground up organically in that fashion is the best way to operate. And it's doing the job.
Right, and those are your voters. That's the voting base. I mean, Walmart is a great American success story here in Missouri. My first job was working at Walmart, so I know what it's like there. And I'll say that I think that if you give these corporations the proper incentives, you cut their taxes like we did with these corporate tax rates, you're going to get more jobs. My buddy Neil Struharic, who I'm staying with here in St. Louis, wonderful guy, runs restaurants. He cannot find enough employees to fill it. He's going to have to raise wages in order to find the employees because the unemployment has gone down so much. It's exciting. It's a great time to be alive, and I look forward to being a part of this in the U.S. Senate next year.
That is actually a legit concern among some folks, that there are going to be too many jobs and not enough people to fill them. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, watch the Republicans start talking about bringing in the immigrants at that point, right?
But that's how wages increase, though. That's how wages go up through competition.
Totally.
Now, about Claire McCaskill, I thought it was interesting how I thought for sure maybe, and I don't know how the invite list went out when it came to that meeting regarding immigration.
Right.
But she has basically established firmly that she does not give an F about cooperating in any way, shape, or form with any reasonable common sense approaches. She just was basically not cooperative in any way, shape, or form on tax reform. She didn't even bother to show. Dick Durbin was there, for crying out loud. She didn't even bother to show up at this immigration meeting or care about wanting to be part of it. And she's just been sitting on the sidelines expecting that all the votes are going to come to her. She's amassing a huge war chest, and she's expecting this to be a cakewalk for her. Yeah. How she thinks this is going to go down is beyond me.
She's a total obstructionist to the president's agenda, and I think she despises the president. It's quite clear. She voted against the tax cuts, right? And that was good for Missourians. She voted against Neil Gorsuch, right? Just very common sense. She tries to paint herself as this moderate, but she really is a party line Democrat. We looked at her voting record, and it was like 85% of the time she votes with Bernie Sanders, right? So I think that she's out of touch with Missourians. I think that she's more weak than she lets on. Money doesn't win you elections. Otherwise, Hillary would be the president right now, right? And somebody was asking me that last night, Austin, how are you going to win? You can't outraise Claire McCaskill. I'm like, no, but I can outmaneuver her on the field, right? This is a war of attrition we're talking about here. And I think that, again, she's not the moderate she claims to be. She's a lot closer to Chuck Schumer. She's really a lapdog to Chuck Schumer, if you think about it. And I think that Missourians are going to vote somebody else in, whether it's me or someone else, this fall. I hope that it's me. I think it should be me, because I think that I would be a good representative. And I always like to say, if you like your attorney general, if you like Josh Hawley, you can keep him.
Yeah, you can keep your plan. You can keep your Josh Hawley
guy in
plan.
Jeff City.
Yeah, and again, to your point about winning elections, we've already seen that winning elections is it's done through hard work,
right?
And President Trump. I'll never forget those last 7 days of that campaign. It was mesmerizing to see this guy working his tail off in places where Democrats just wouldn't go. I mean, you're talking about Altoona. It's like, why did you go to Altoona?
Yeah.
But again, to your point also about Claire, when she ran for the U.S. Senate, remember her thing was all about Wall Street, Main Street, Wall Street, Main Street. I'm for Main Street. These guys are for Wall Street, blah, blah, blah. But she doesn't seem to care at all about Main Street in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, Millionaire Claire, they call her, right, for her private jet. So here's the thing. Let's talk about the ancient struggle, the agrarian interest versus the industrialist interest. Missouri is an agrarian state. This is a state of farmers, of blue-collar people. This is a union state. Many of the people in this state who vote Democrat are doing so because of historic traditions tied to unions, not because they necessarily identify with things like abortion. They don't. Many of the Democrats in this state are blue dogs. They tend to believe in fiscal conservatism. So when they see somebody who comes along who actually has their principles, they'll vote for a Republican if they want to, right? I mean, how did Trump win by what, 16, 18, 19 points?
19.
You don't think some Democrats voted for him,
yeah.
right? So if the Republicans want someone here in this state of Missouri who can have that crossover appeal, who can beat Claire because he can actually, kneecap her base, I think I'm the candidate to do that, because you want to have that sort of the Reagan Democrat, right? That appeal. I think a Liberty Republican is just the candidate to do that, because she's going to have to go and fight for her base. I mean, I go to Black Lives Matter rallies. I go and talk to the Bernie Bros and things like that. Of course, I don't agree with most of the things they have to say, but I'm willing to engage with them. And I'm going to go to St. Louis, and I'm going to go to Kansas City, and I'm going to go to Springfield and talk to these young people. Claire has not been good on the issues her base wants to talk about. They want to talk about criminal justice reform. I'm going to talk to Chris Arps later today about that. They want to hear about that in places like Ferguson, Missouri. They want to hear a Republican who actually talks about that will be a huge national story. I think Claire is going to have trouble keeping up, and the mama of Missouri is going to have to retire.
Yeah, hey, criminal justice reform is something that both Democrats and Republicans should be on the same page about, and I'm glad you're on it as well. At AP for Liberty, AustinPetersen.com. Check it out on the web. He has it all laid out there, so there's probably something for everybody right there. It's not him trying to be everything to everybody, but it's just common sense, and that's what you're all about. Thank you, Austin.
Thanks, Jamie.
Good to see you, buddy.
Thanks a lot.